You are watching Xirtus.
And it seems like we're not allowed to really discuss like the levels of like the implications of what things are coming to, but it might not be that it's so bad either, because people are projecting this, end of the world vibe, and I don't think that's accurate either. And the more you look at population growth versus decline, like what are the studies, right? So let's think about that for a second, like the Club of Rome, population decline. They had this idea that the growth would lead to a point of a population bomb, and then it would just pop, right? But that's kind of a natural reaction then, because then it means, and this has happened before. Think about it: the plagues, different sorts of circumstances in history, things will pop, and then the population hits a point where it has 6 to 12 kids again for a while, and somehow it works out. And isn't that's kind of natural? But we're trying to stop that from happening, and so we're getting to a point where, like silkworms, we're de-escalating the general population, so that it gets to a point where it's super dangerous because there's no incentive. It's not the natural order where, hey, there was this crisis, so I should have a baby boom, right? That isn't provoked in that circumstance, and so isn't that more dangerous?
Hmm. Well, we're at an unprecedented period right now. Like there's an influx in so many different directions with AI and the shifting technologies that we have. So it's hard to really compare it to a previous era that didn't have those things because they led to now. And so it's where we might be at like a crescent, like a turning point for the old world to die and for the new world to be born. And it might be unprecedented. So we can't really know the outcome, but we're trying to birth some form of like meta consciousness with AI. I mean, who knows what that'll actually do to humanity and how it'll actually shift the way that we live and the way that we understand existence and life and death. So I don't know, we might be reaching some form of digital immortality soon. Is it bad? I mean, it's bad for the people who want to stay in meat puppets, but like, is it good for the next evolutionary step?
What
What's
do you
bad for the what's bad for the Neanderthal was good for the Homo sapien.
But what do you think about thoughts of lost, so post-humanism, I think about Kurt talking about music, that do you think that there are certain kinds of creativity or the spark of humanity has some value that we don't want to lose? What is that?
That's actually
Well,
a big
yeah.
reason. Oh, sorry, good.
No, go on, go on.
I was just gonna say that's actually a big reason why I recently took up classical guitar in the past year or so. I
Nice.
saw I saw a lot of like because it's just something that I didn't have like the personal capacity to do, but I knew that it's like it's easy enough, and there's programs now that are getting better and better at just like you punching in sheet music and it being able to play it like to like almost human level accuracy. And so I was just like, I want to be able to at least hold my own in that realm, and also just like there is something to be said about like human performance and the connection that you get from that energetic exchange. So I think that those are aspects of the old guard that I kind of like to hold on to. I come at a lot of that, a lot of the AI stuff, kind of with a little bit of timidness and antagonism. So I try to work it out in my head and reason as to the benefits.
Yeah, but we have to weigh it like a. It's not just like, I mean, AI. They say that it's kind of just a tool, but really what we're doing is we're developing a relationship with a future intelligence that's going to be, assimilating everything that we're doing to it now. So the music aspect, I think that humans are capable of doing things that are very innovative that AI can't do without human like as its base, because everything that AI does is a reference to what humans do. But humans can grab a guitar and pluck it in a new way that's never been plucked before. They can play instruments in ways that are innovative and creative, while AI is only generating based on the stimulus that you put, usually linguistically or through like audio stimulus, notes and these sort of mathematical equations. So I mean, like I'm a visual artist, and of course AI outclasses me in terms of technique, but I can work consistently, and I can work, I can create new things out of nowhere without necessarily having to combine existing ideas. Sure, it's hard, but that's what humanity has always done. It's pushing boundaries, and AI itself is a boundary that we've been pushing. So, I think humans will assimilate in this relationship. We're going to become more and more co-relational with AI, and eventually it won't be a question about like, is AI doing it for us? It's going to be, we're doing it together. It's like having a genie in your pocket that can help you play guitar better. It's not necessarily going to take the credit for what you're creating, as long as you're actually putting your hands on and making it your own. That's where the human spirit comes in, because you can auto generate, you can just farm content forever, but it's the personal touch that makes the difference.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of my antagonism to AI just comes from a place of ignorance as to how it actually works. So I kind of try to keep that in perspective.
Sure, but you're an artist, right? So of course, part of you has that, like, you've devoted your entire life to these creative mediums, and now suddenly, out of nowhere, some nerds come in and make
Check out my buddy Brian Prispek. He made this the other day. This is all AI generated video.
Oh, wow.
Robots at a bar. We're about to see a point where you can just watch videos be generated about the things that they know you like based on the things you've already clicked like on and disliked.
Has there already been like a Love, Death, and Robots like a bit? Have you guys seen that show? Love, Death, and Robots?
Yeah.
Has there already been like one of those segments that's totally AI generated? I could see that.
I'm showing you probably some of the first.
Right now, that's what it made my.
This is where it's at right now. This is the
it's going to be
as
crazy
as it goes. A few seconds and
yeah. So all you need is like a bunch of video cards in a box, and then you could have live video just generated 30 frames a second, 18 to 60 frames a second, and then eventually people just watch what they want.
Right.
Plot twist: the people in the Matrix, they watch the Matrix being created, then they hook themselves up to the machines. That's probably where all this is going.
In the movie The Matrix, the script for the movie The Matrix was made by machines.
Interesting.
Sorry, this is
feedback.
Cool.
I mean, yeah. So it seems though like that meme with the girl sweeping her broom in the Roomba shop. Like it kind of suggests the problem, which is that we're usually working harder. Kids are now going to go to school to learn how to be search engine prompt engineers, right? You're gonna have to learn how to talk to search engines and how to get the prompts you want. Prompt engineering to get those videos, that's going to be the most important job for the next few minutes until they decide that AI can do that better. As well, figure out what people like and then just sort it.
McKenna said about he said around 1990s that in about 20 years, he was off by about 30 years, he was off by about 10 years, but he said that in about 20 years that the currency would be ideas as opposed to actual, physical labor or actual money that they print. The true value in our culture is going to be the capacity to generate through just ideas, imagination. That's the real power in what's coming up. So, interact with the machine is like interacting with a genie. Say the right word, you will get what you want.
I've seen this kind of ideology starting to postulate itself. People that have thought, hey, we're hurting animals, so I should become a vegetarian. How about we're hurting humans, so I should stop consuming items that involve human labor, right? I mean, at that level, you can get to an automated McDonald's world. And what other responsibility should you place on McDonald's, right? It's this huge corporation. It should really end human labor. That's basically what Marx suggested, that corporations in America would hit a point where human labor would become no longer necessary to sustain these essential services, and use their money to do it. Why not?
Well, you can't replace a bunch of jobs without having some form of income to compensate for it. I think we're probably going to end up with universal basic income, because the alternative is mass poverty and like, escape from LA situation or something.
Yeah,
It's
what do
pretty
you guys
close
think
to
about
that.
UBI in terms of its inevitability and maybe your fears about what's to come? But also, I mean, do you see this as something that is inevitable? And
Well, they're apparently testing it in London right now, or in a few weeks. They're going to be testing it. They're doing a test run for universal basic income for a few parts of cities. So, I think it comes at a price, but I think that at least having the basics done, it's important. Like millions and millions of people are working just to pay their rent, just to survive, just to pay food. They're slave wages, and so you take away you take away basically wage slavery by doing this, and allow people to actually go and get an education without having to stress about money.
so, what's interesting about the definition of income, according to Black's Law Dictionary, is that the return that income is defined as the return in money from one's business or labor or capital invested, gains or profit, right? So you have to imagine it is a trade. It's not just like incoming, you get this stuff like that's raining on you. It has to do with the social contract. And what do you think is being traded for a universal basic income?
I think
A degree
dependency.
of freedom, because everything is going to be digitalized. So, now you won't be able to have like paper to go and buy crack with, for example, or, buy things that'll destroy you with, because you have to work through the digital medium and do everything in a monitored manner. And so it'll tighten the playpen, but it'll also amplify what's within it, I guess.
What's
Maybe.
the economic fallout of subsidizing like the loss of employment, but also losing all of that income taxation?
So one of the arguments has been like data is so valuable that if they tied our data to, what is the most valuable thing? Service economy, removing entropy, and the data and information gained from data that can be used to advance civilization in some way, or the agenda of an agency, right, of some kind. So, I mean, they would take your data, and then this would make your data more important because you would have to know. I mean, this is already starting to happen, right? They're starting to ask you, do you really want to sell your data to us by entering our website, by clicking on this cookie?
I reject as many as I can every time.